Hi and welcome to No Garden, No Problem. My name is Sarah and I'm from Schlee, the Waterford Sustainable Living Initiative. And as part of our People and Planet project, we're doing this series on sustainable growing in urban spaces. So if you live in an apartment or a shared space with no garden to speak of, then this series is for you. It's time for container planting. Container planting is super versatile and really handy if you've limited space. So if you only have a balcony or a postage stamp garden or a little patio, container planting is really ideal. You can grow almost anything in almost anything. You can grow fruit and veg to ornamental plants to fruit bushes to flowers, bulbs, all in containers. And you can even get these containers from your own house. And I'll show you a little bit more about that later. My mum is really great at growing. I am getting there, but honestly, if I can do it, anybody can do it. We've got loads of different things in pots here. I'm going to show you a few of them. Okay, so sometimes it can be really hard to know where to start. So I'm going to show you how to plant herbs for your windowsill, grow your own bounty of salad leaves, and grow potatoes in a bag. So let's start with the herbs. I'm going to use these pots. We're going to grow 3 different herbs, so we're going to use 3 different pots. Make sure that there are holes in the end. This is really important. Herbs hate to be standing in water. They need really good drainage. I would hate to be standing in water all day. Ugh. So think like that when you're thinking of your herbs. Make sure they have holes in them. The other thing you're going to need are your seeds, obviously. A marker, or a label and a marker, so that you can put what they are and when you've grown them. This is really important. I can't tell you how many times I get impatient and I think things should be grown up when I think they've been in 3 weeks and I only put them in 3 days ago. So this is really important to let you know what's going on. I have this old tray here. That is to make sure that when I water them, it catches the water and doesn't ruin my windowsill. And some stones for extra drainage. That's going to go on the base here. But you can, if you want, get a solid pot like this and then just slot this into it. So there's a little gap at the end so it still has somewhere for the water to drain off into. So first things first, get yourself your good potting compost. Now when you're putting this in, you just want to break up any big lumps. So if I stick my hand into the compost and there's big lumps like that, I'm just going to break that up and throw it in. So the thing I'm doing there is just shaking them down, and then I'm going to do a quick tamp down with one of the other pots. This is just to slightly consolidate the soil. You don't need it really compact, you still want air in there, but you need it a little bit firm. So just like that, and it just firms it up a little bit. The next thing to do is water them. So I'm going to give these a good soaking so they're nice and moist, and then I'm going to let them drain off for about 5 minutes so all that excess water can get out of the pot. So the 3 herbs we're going to do, which are really great for beginners and come up really well for your windowsill, are coriander, basil and parsley. Now because these herbs are very similar in size, we can actually plant them pretty similarly. So I'm going to put coriander in here, basil in this one, and parsley in this one. So just open up your seed packet and tip out a small few into your hand. That's probably enough. So you just sow them thinly, and actually that's loads. So the next thing I said I was going to do was basil. Again, just tip out a few into your hand. Loads. You want to sow them thinly. Because you're going to leave them growing in this pot, and this is where you're going to harvest them from, you don't want to put too many in there or else it'll become crowded and you won't have a good crop. So again, the basil, just a small few, and sow them thinly. And the same again for the parsley. So next thing we're going to do is cover them with about 1 centimetre of soil. And again, I'm just going to slightly tamp them down. All you want is for the seed to have good contact with the soil. You don't want to completely press it down. So just a light little tap like that is perfect. I did say earlier that they don't like being in water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these stones, line the tray. You can get these stones anywhere. You can buy them if you like. I usually just go out and on the road, anytime I see a few stones, I just pick them up and put them in my pocket and bring them back and collect them in these. It's really handy because all it does is gives you that extra little bit of layer that when you put these on, like that, it's definitely not sitting in water. It gives it that extra little bit of drainage and makes them really, really happy. As I said earlier, you can put them into solid-based pots like this and have them sitting up on your windowsill as well. Now what did I almost forget to do that I told you not to forget to do? Date and label them! I have these cool lollipop sticks. You can dye them using food dye, or you can buy them if you want, but I just collect them off of lollipops. And you can dye them using food colouring from your kitchen. So the first one I said I did was coriander. And pop it in at the side. Make sure you don't pop it in the middle because you'll just disturb your seeds. And that's it, done. Really simple. They look really cute and they're going to grow really, really nicely. Remember I said that they don't like too much water? A really good rule of thumb to check if plants have too much water, and actually this works for all plants, not just herbs, is if you go and take your plant pot and stick your finger in at the edge of it, because you don't want to disturb anything that's going on in the centre where you have your seeds, and stick it down to where your first knuckle is, and it feels moist, then they have enough water. Don't water them. If they're really, really dry, then you can water them. But they just need to be slightly moist. So that's a really good way of checking if your plant has enough water. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to plant is come again salad leaves. These are brilliant because they grow really well and they give you a huge bounty of salad leaves without much effort. We're going to direct sow them into where they're going to grow, so there's no faffing about with transplanting them. I'm going to use this box, which is really cute, that I bought, and I've drilled a few holes in the end of them. Now my top tip for this, because I have learned the hard way, is to put a piece of wood or something underneath when you're drilling it, put it down on top of it like that, hold it and drill in slowly. Otherwise you're likely to crack the plastic. You can also use things from your kitchen. So you can plant in anything, like I said earlier. So a really good one for cutting comments again, salad leaves, is this, your grape punnet, which already has holes in the end of it, so it's really handy. If you're growing inside, obviously put it on a saucer or something like that so the water doesn't go everywhere. But these are great. You can even sow them in something like this, which is a salad box, I think, or from coleslaw. The only thing to remember is that when you're growing in stuff that you found in your kitchen or your recycling bin, which is always great, I totally encourage it, is to check the end of it. So you see that little triangle? See this little triangle? This is on the end of all plastics. So you need to check that. And you need to look at the number that's inside it. So if the number is 1, 2, 4 or 5, it means it's food safe and you can plant in it. So this one has 1, so it's perfect for planting in. Same with this. Now, as I said, I'm going to use this box. So first things first, just fill it up with soil. Once again, just firm it in slightly, just like that. And then give it a good water. Okay, so it's nicely watered. Now I need my seeds. I have these cut and come again. They're great. And if you plant them every couple of weeks, you'll have a continuous crop during the growing season. But they're just so handy. If you just take little and often, you'll have loads and loads of salads to keep you going through the summer. So again, you only need a few of these. These are tiny little seeds. And so I'm just going to sprinkle them thinly. And now I'm just going to cover them over with about ½ centimetre of compost. And again, I'm just lightly tapping it down so that the seeds have good contact with the soil. It does not need to be totally firm, you need air around them. But that's it, they should be up in a couple of weeks and you'll be able to keep getting more and more of them. So it's really simple, you just sow some seeds, leave them off, keep them a little bit wet, and you'll have loads of food to eat. Okay, the third thing we're going to plant is potatoes. Yes, we're going to container plant potatoes. It's really easy, and actually it makes harvesting so much better. Now you can use whatever you like for this, a deep pot. It does need to be deep, or a potato grow bag, or even an old compost bag. I'm going to grow in this Hessian bag. So I have this Hessian bag. You need seed potatoes, you need compost, an egg box, water and a watering can. Now let's talk about seed potatoes for a second. These are first earlies, which need to go in now, which is mid to late March. Second earlies, you put them in late March, early April. And main crop potatoes, you put them in late April. You can even put in seed potatoes as late as May, even the end of May, and you can have really great potatoes for Christmas, your Christmas dinner. Awesome. Now, we all have a potato at home that has gone a little bit over, it's been left out too long, and it starts sprouting its seeds. And while you can plant these, and they do grow, and you can get a good crop off them, you're safer going with seed potatoes because they've been specially saved from last year's potato crop, and they're certified disease free, so you're more likely to get a better crop from them. They're going to be stronger plants and they're not going to have any diseases. So by all means experiment if you like. I got these a few weeks ago. So what you do when you get your seed potatoes is you look on the potato. So all of these guys are called eyes. And one end of your potato is going to have more eyes than the other. This is the rose end. This is where your egg box comes in. So you get your egg box and you stand them up with the rose eye up, like that. And you do this with all your potatoes. Then you stick them into a really light place, so like your windowsill, and leave them there for a couple of weeks until they start looking like these. Some I prepared earlier. So they're ready to go. Now, this is called chitting your potatoes. I chit you not. Oh, dad joke. Very happy with myself. There is a little bit of debate about whether you have to chit your potatoes or not. What it does is you're basically just encouraging them to sprout. So you're giving them a little bit of a head start before they go into the ground. By all means, you can just plant them once you buy them into the ground and they'll grow. They just might be a little bit slower to come on. That's it. Okay, my Hessian bag. I'm going to fill this with about 3 to 4 inches of compost at the end of it. In a bag this size, I'm going to put in 2 potatoes. 2 plants in something this size is enough, and it will give you loads and loads and loads of potatoes. So I'm going to go with this one. So when you place it in, you place it with the rose end facing up the way. So now I'm going to cover these with about 6 inches of soil on top, compost. So that's my potatoes in a bag. I'm going to water these now, give them a little bit of a soak so that this compost is just nice and moist. When the plants start growing and they get to about 10 centimeters tall, throw in more compost on top of them. Don't worry if you cover leaves, in fact do cover leaves and just leave a little bit of them at the top. You're not going to harm the plant by doing this. This is called earthing them up, and it just means that up along the stem you get more tubers, more potatoes growing off them. So you might need to do this maybe once or twice in the growing season, so 10 centimeters and then maybe a little bit later on, until you're just under the top of the bag. Thing to remember with potatoes, if you ever see a potato that's near the surface, make sure you cover it with soil, because otherwise that potato will go green and it makes it poisonous and unedible. So if you ever see any potatoes, make sure you cover them up and so that they're not getting hit by the sun and go green. That's a really good tip. Okay, harvesting your potatoes. For your early crop, once it flowers and the flowers have just gone over, that's when you can harvest your earlies. So that's first earlies and second earlies. And all you need to do for this, especially if you're going in a container, is just chuck them out and go digging for treasure. This is usually about 14 weeks after you've planted them. For main crop potatoes, you wait until they've flowered, the flowers have come off, and the plant goes yellow and dies back down. That's when you harvest those. You need to die back a good bit and be quite yellow and falling over before you harvest them. This is usually about 18 weeks after. And that's it. That's how you grow your potatoes in a little bag. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Showed you how to grow herbs on your windowsill, cut and come again salad leaves in any container, and grow potatoes in a bag. Brilliant. Any of the things I've planted in this video, you can use compost from your own compost bin at home. And if you don't have your own compost bin, check out one of our other videos and I show you how to make one. It works really, really well and they're super nutrient rich, and so you get great plants from using your own compost. It's brilliant. So that's it, that's growing your potatoes. Why don't you go out and grab yourself some seed potatoes, chuck them in a bag or a box or a bucket, and let me know how many you managed to grow in your container. Any questions? Just leave them in the comments section. You can check out the links below to the other videos in this series, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks a mil.